Dopamine, the neurochemical that makes you addicted to reels and binge eating. But what if you could turn this same chemical into your strongest tool? One that makes your brain crave studying? You will see thousands of videos on dopamine detox. But how can you detox a chemical that is not even toxic? Your brain needs dopamine. And you can reprogram your dopamine pathways to leverage them for hyperfocus and high-level thinking, so you actually enjoy studying. And I am going to show you how. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter produced in your midbrain here in this region. It moves through a few main pathways, which makes it responsible not only for pleasure and motivation, but also for functions like voluntary movement and hormonal balance. But for enjoying studying, these two pathways matter most. To keep things simple, I call them the cognitive pathway and the reward pathway. They can pull you toward deep focus or drag you straight into distractions like scrolling TikTok or Reels. But how? Dopamine present here helps neurons of these regions to communicate with each other. This, the cognitive pathway, supports focus, planning, effortful thinking, and impulse control. And this, the reward pathway, handles pleasure and motivation when your brain expects a reward. A reward for the brain is anything it interprets as positive, satisfying, or useful for survival, like eating food gives you pleasure. Validation from others or reaching a goal also gives you pleasure. You can say the same chemical, dopamine, helps you think clearly and control your impulses through this cognitive pathway, and also motivates you to repeat enjoyable actions through this reward pathway. So, when both pathways are balanced, you maintain control over your actions and pleasure. The real problem is when these pathways are not balanced. When you start an effortful thinking task, like reading or solving problems, you activate your cognitive pathway. A healthy level of dopamine in this pathway helps the neurons in this region to fire. The reward pathway does not light up at this time, because it only activates when it senses a potential reward. But studying is a slow reward process. As you complete a small goal, like a paragraph or a page, the reward pathway activates with the help of dopamine in this region. After receiving the reward, your brain releases a spike of dopamine. This creates a sense of pleasure and helps you remember the action that caused this pleasure. And because the reward was slow, the spike is gradual. This gives a gentle sense of satisfaction. This is what I call good dopamine. It helps us enjoy progress, even when tasks are effortful. The problem begins when the reward pathway is triggered without effort. No effortful thinking means the cognitive pathway is sidelined. When you watch reels, binge eat, or play games for long hours, your brain senses these rewards and activates the reward pathway. Because these rewards are quick, the dopamine spikes are also quick. This is cheap dopamine. Your brain wants that reward again, so you repeat the action of cheap dopamine. Keep watching reels on reels, keep eating, or keep playing that game. And this forms a loop. These repeated instant spikes reduce the sensitivity of the receptors in neurons that respond to dopamine. Your brain becomes used to fast pleasure. Since the cognitive pathway is sidelined, controlling your impulses becomes harder. Even when you try to break the loop and sit down to study, the slow reward of studying does not match the new expectation of the neurons in the reward pathway. What you are experiencing is an imbalance between these pathways, which makes studying feel more difficult. Now the question is, how do we make studying enjoyable and manageable again? We need to reprogram our pathways to regain balance. Just doing a 24-hour social media detox or dopamine fasting will not work. Instead, what you need is a consistent effort to restore sensitivity to slower rewards. The first and foremost step is to reduce instant rewards. Add small barriers. Make them harder to reach and easier to ignore. Place your phone in another room. Remove distracting apps from your phone so you are not pulled in by the urge to check it. Limit snacks by keeping only a small amount near you so you do not eat out of habit. By limiting access to fast rewards, the reward pathway becomes calmer and more responsive to effortful rewards. The second step is to start adding little effort-based rewards. This can be 5 minutes of reading, a small revision, or a simple practice set. These small efforts trigger dopamine through the cognitive pathway. Over time, your brain begins to associate effort with satisfaction, making it easier to start longer study sessions. The third step is to use micro goals. Set limits for your study sessions with a small number of pages, a short topic, or a fixed time. Each session becomes a small win and gives a gentle dopamine rise in the reward pathway. This rise stays steady and does not become too strong. When you finish one micro goal, the cycle settles, then rises again with the next achievement. This pattern builds momentum. Doing a dopamine fasting, or so-called detox, for a few hours or days might feel good, but it won't stop you from falling back into the same old habits. By reprogramming your dopamine pathways, you're training your brain to naturally go for effort-based rewards and building stronger impulse control. So saying no to cheap dopamine becomes easier over time. In the upcoming videos, I'll share more fascinating methods from cognitive science to strengthen your learning, making it more effective and enjoyable. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.